The morning sun poured through the tall glass windows of Royal Manchester Hospital, but inside the waiting area, the air felt heavy with despair.
Among the weary faces and hurried footsteps, one voice rose above the rest, broken, trembling, and desperate.
A young mother, her clothes torn at the seams and a teddy bear dangling from her arm, clutched her sick child close to her chest.
Her knees buckled as she fell near the reception counter, crying out, "Please, someone, please save my daughter."
It wasn't just a cry for help. It was a scream of a soul breaking under the weight of helplessness. People turned to look, some with pity, others with indifference, but none stepped forward.
She was invisible to most, just another struggling soul in a world moving too fast to care.
But in that moment, fate placed someone in the hallway who was never supposed to be there.
A man whose life was filled with riches, power, and privilege. A man whose decisions moved markets and built empires.
His name was Samuel Reid, one of the wealthiest men in the country, and what he witnessed that morning would change him forever.
Before we dive deeper into this story, if you believe in the profound power of empathy, if you believe that a single moment can ignite a lifetime of change, then please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Third Person View, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that compassion still exists. Your support helps us spread stories that inspire the world.
Samuel had only come to the hospital for a quick board meeting about a new medical wing his foundation was funding.
He had no intention of stopping in the waiting area. His life was a carefully managed schedule of luxury cars, private jets, and appointments that never waited. But as he passed the counter, he froze. His sharp eyes landed on the woman kneeling on the cold floor, holding a fragile little girl whose cheeks were pale and whose small chest rose and fell with shallow breaths.
The mother's name was Olivia Hayes. Life had not been kind to her. Once a bright student with dreams of becoming a teacher,
She had been abandoned by her partner when their baby girl, Grace, was only a few months old.
Since then, she had worked 3 cleaning jobs, often skipping meals so her daughter could eat.
Poverty clung to her, not just in her torn jacket and worn shoes, but in the way her shoulders slumped with exhaustion. Yet her eyes told a different story. They burned with fierce love, the kind only a mother fighting for her child could carry.
For weeks, Grace had been ill, a fever that would not break, weakness that left her unable to stand, and a cough that grew worse by the day.
Doctors had confirmed she needed an urgent, expensive treatment. Without it, her chances were slim.
Olivia had begged every charity, knocked on every door, but all she collected were sympathetic smiles and whispered apologies.
And now, at the hospital desk, she was being told once again, "We can't start the treatment without the payment." Her cries echoed through the sterile hallway.
"Please," she pleaded, "she's just a child. Take me instead if you must."
But don't let her die. I'll do anything. Her voice cracked as Grace whimpered faintly in her arms.
Samuel felt something stir inside him, a feeling he hadn't allowed in years. His empire was built on hard contracts, tough negotiations, and an unshakable belief that every man and woman controlled their own destiny. But as he looked at Olivia, at her fragile daughter, he saw a truth he had ignored.
Sometimes people didn't fail because of laziness or weakness. Sometimes life simply crushed them under burdens too heavy to carry.
He could have walked away. He could have told himself it wasn't his problem. But instead, he found his steps moving toward her.
When Olivia lifted her tear-streaked face and her desperate eyes met his, she didn't see a billionaire. She saw another human being who might still have a heart. Samuel spoke quietly to the nurse, and in moments the resistance faded. "Prepare the child for immediate treatment. All expenses will be covered under my account," he said firmly.
The nurse, stunned, nodded and rushed to comply. Olivia gasped, clutching Grace closer as if afraid the promise would vanish.
"Why?" she whispered through her sobs. "Why would you do this for us?" Samuel didn't answer immediately. His gaze fell on Grace's tiny hand wrapped around the teddy bear, the symbol of innocence she clung to, even in sickness. Finally, he said, "Because no child should pay the price for what the world failed to give, and no mother should beg for mercy that should already be hers."
As the hours passed, Grace was admitted, and doctors began the life-saving procedure. Olivia waited outside the room, trembling with a mixture of fear and hope.
Samuel stayed too, his expensive suit and polished shoes out of place among the worn plastic chairs of the waiting area.
He sat beside her in silence, his presence a strange comfort. Memories haunted Samuel as he waited. Long ago, he had grown up in poverty himself. His own mother had faced countless nights of hunger just to keep him alive. He had buried those memories under layers of wealth and success, never allowing himself to feel that pain again. But Olivia's voice had torn down those walls, reminding him of where he came from and of a love he once knew. The love of a mother who gave everything. Hours later, the doctors returned with news. Grace's condition had stabilized. The treatment was working. Relief flooded Olivia's face, and she collapsed into tears, this time of gratitude. She turned to Samuel, unable to find words strong enough to thank him.
But Samuel wasn't finished. He learned about Olivia's struggles, how she juggled jobs, how rent consumed her small income, how every day was a battle just to provide her daughter a chance to live.
His heart, hardened by years of business battles, softened in the face of her resilience. Quietly, he made a decision.
He arranged for Olivia to receive steady financial support, not as charity, but as a job within his foundation. He promised her flexible hours, enough to provide for Grace without sacrificing her own health.
He also set up an education trust fund for Grace, ensuring she would never be denied opportunities because of poverty.
Olivia, overwhelmed, shook her head in disbelief. "You don't even know us. Why go this far?" Samuel finally allowed himself a small smile.
"Because once someone gave my mother and me a chance, and it changed everything. I think it's time I return that gift."
The story of Samuel Reid and Olivia Hayes spread quietly at first, whispered among hospital staff, then carried by those who had witnessed the scene.
In a world often clouded by greed and indifference, one act of kindness had ignited hope.
A billionaire, once untouchable, had chosen to bend down and lift someone who had fallen. And that choice had not only saved a little girl's life, but had also rewritten a future for an entire family. As the sun set that evening, Olivia held Grace close. Her daughter's tiny breath stronger now, her color returning.
For the first time in years, Olivia felt something she thought she had lost forever. Safety, hope, and the belief that miracles still happened.
If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that true generosity can build a future from the ashes of despair,
Please like this video, subscribe to Third Person View, and share it with someone who needs hope or someone who believes in lifting the most vulnerable.
Your support helps us keep stories of hope alive and inspire millions around the world.
Before we close, I want to ask you, what do you think truly moved Samuel Reid to act with such profound kindness? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read them all.